Grand rising, my people. Grand rising, my people. Grand rising, grand rising, grand rising. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Keep paying attention. That's what the topic is today. Is to keep paying attention. Come on in. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Okay. Here we go. See, the reason why I keep on hammering in and nailing down on this thing about paying attention is because when your spirit is talking to you and you're not paying attention, you're going to keep on repeating these different cycles that keep on happening to you because you are not aware enough to know how to go a different direction. Okay? So when you're paying attention to certain things and you just zeroed in and you laser focus, you are going to learn more in your silence and paying attention to what's going on with you and other things around you than you would if you just kept reacting to it, okay? So if you kept reacting to a certain situation versus taking in the message that situation had to offer, then it's a good chance that you was going to repeat that cycle again. And it just wasn't going to happen probably with that same person. It happened in a different situation, probably with a different person, but, you know, everything would have been the same. All the framework to that right there would have been the same, okay? So when it comes down to that right there, that's one. And so when I speak on, for me, just for me, and let me get this clear again. When I say you, I mean me. I just be talking, okay? Because you don't have to do nothing. You don't have to do nothing. I'm just telling you the stuff that I do, okay? So when I'm mentioning something and I say what you have to do, you don't have to do anything. This is what I do, and this right here is that's just my way of speaking, okay? So let me get that clear and out the way as well. Now, the reason why I say pay attention is because, remember I told y'all once before, and I always say this in many of my videos, some of this stuff that's going to come to you is not going to make any sense at all. This right here is one of the biggest reasons why you pay attention to what's going on. You have to be quiet, and you're going to have to sit in the background. And for not doing that for me, when I lost Junior, that right there is what made me do that right there, because it seemed like for me, I probably should have been sitting back and being quiet and sitting back and looking in the background anyway. Because once I started to do it, I started to see a lot of stuff. Started to hear a lot of stuff. Only thing you had to do is just be quiet. Pay attention to who it is that you're talking to, who you're dealing with, and take notes. Take notes. People are going to tell you exactly who they are. They are not going to lie about it. And you're going to find out about it because you're paying attention when they are talking to somebody else. Yeah. See, part of your spirit is going to tell you that right there. And it's going to pull you away from some people. You know what I'm saying? See, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, what I learned. What I learned in this process. And still learning. Let me tell you what I learned in this process. One of the biggest things that I learned, one of the biggest things that I learned is that before you go through this right here, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of things that you dealt with that you just, just to keep the peace, just to keep the cool, just to keep the calm, you know what I'm saying? It was just, you just left certain things alone and you left the door open on certain things, you know what I'm saying? When you come into your spiritual awareness and you start waking up to certain stuff and you start seeing stuff for what it is, not what it's supposed to be, then your spirit is going to put locks on those doors. You see what I'm saying? And that right there is when you're going to start seeing people fall off. That's when you're going to start to notice that you ain't been hanging with the same group of people that you've been normally hanging with. something is going to drag you away from that. You did. Something gonna drag you away from that, and it's gonna be your spirit, and that's only because you don't recognize what's going on. It ain't gonna be because you mad. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you ain't gonna be mad. In many cases, it's just gonna open your eyes up to what you already know. That's what it is. And so, like I said, for me to see this right here, I had to come away. It's hard. It was difficult to pull away from the grief part. But if you can for a minute, pull away from that right there. This right here is the stuff that you're going to see. You're going to see the real deal. You're going to see the real deal, which made me think, you know what I'm saying, when it comes down to people passing away in these funerals and all this other stuff, like, is this stuff really set in front of you for a reason? It ain't just so you can see your loved one for the last time. You know, these funerals and stuff like that, it's something deeper. I felt something deeper. It was like a deeper symbolic meaning of something that was spiritual, something spiritual when it came down to my son's funeral that I noticed when I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like the whole process, like just going through it. You know what I'm saying? I was noticing some stuff. You know, I was noticing like it for some odd reason, it's like, it was like watching a blockage or something being put in place. You know what I'm saying? Something was blocking. It felt like energetically something was blocking me. You know what I'm saying? So dig this. When you finally pay attention to it, once you finally pay attention to spirit, you later on down the line, because you too covered in grief right now. So later on down the line, you gonna find out. It's gonna come to you. This is how it came to me, at least. Like don't get it twisted. I appreciate the services and everything for my son's service, funeral. Listen, I get it. I appreciate it. But think about this for a minute, man. When that right there happened to you and you done lost your child, I'm gonna tell you what's about to happen to you. Your spirit about to be wide open. You understand me? Your spirit about to be wide open. Now here's the thing. You're gonna see some stuff that you probably ain't supposed to be seeing. You gonna understand some things that you probably ain't supposed to be understanding. And that funeral, the services, the having to set everything up. See, it's a process when you go do that stuff right there, man. It's a process. And I noticed that when I was going through that process, you know, to bury my son, when I had to go down there and I had to fill out paperwork, you had to go down there and view the body. You had to go down there to the medical examiner's office. You had to go read the autopsy, how he came in, and all type of stuff. That stuff wear at you. You understand? That stuff wear at you. It wear at you throughout this whole process. We ain't even got to the funeral yet. We ain't even got to the funeral. Okay? This is the stuff that you got to go through. You all in your mind how this right here gonna look at the end. You know what I'm saying? You ain't even got to that point. You see, this stuff right here, I started to believe was being put in place. Because this right here is crazy. It's like it's tradition. It's some type of crazy tradition, but it's something spiritual behind that. Because after that funeral was over with, whatever it was that you was feeling at the moment of that funeral, it didn't stop there. It stopped there. It probably stopped there for everybody else that was coming to view the funeral services, but it didn't stop there for you. In fact, it probably got worse. After the service, it probably more than likely got worse. Because now, it ain't the fact that you know that your child is gone. You actually had to see this. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to witness this. You know what I'm saying? So, if you had to, maybe this right here might be a bad analogy, but it's like bringing somebody to the stake. You know what I'm saying? Everybody get to witness. It's a public viewing. You know, something just didn't sit well. Something didn't sit well with that. Something didn't sit well. Something didn't sit well. Because like I said, and you don't notice that then because you covered in grief. The reason why it don't sit well is because of what you think about afterwards. See, just think about what that do to you and your mind when you see them getting ready to close the coffin on your child. And they call everybody up to the front of the congregation and all this other stuff because this is what's about to happen. And the crazy part is this right here. You know this is about to happen. You know this is about to happen. You already prepared for it. How is that stuff just sunk in our mind like that? You know what I'm saying? How is that stuff just sunk in our mind like that? We just automatically know that we about to go through this procedure, through the process. We know we about to drive this long funeral line. We know we about to go to a cemetery. We know all this stuff right here. Because it happened over and over, we got it down pat. Now, we know how we gonna feel. We don't know how long it's gonna last, and we don't know a way up out of it. Nobody never talked about that part. Nobody never told you about that part. Instead, they referred you to some part of a book that you ain't in no condition to be reading about right now. You understand me? You ain't in no condition to be reading nothing about no book right now. See, you gotta understand. You gotta understand, for the ones that haven't went through this right here, the type of stuff that's going through the mind of a person that did go through this right here, it don't include trying to take the time out and read no books. You know what I'm saying? You don't take that. That's not the time for that right there at the moment. You know, you very quiet and you put off to the side somewhere. For me, like I said, I was quiet. I was put off to the side, but I was paying attention. This is why I'm telling y'all. This is why I'm telling y'all. You know, it ain't nothing gonna be bigger than losing your child. But the awakeness that you endure behind that, you won't be able to go back to the person that you used to be. This right here is probably why when stuff like this happen, you feel like it's a part of you that's missing. It's like a part of you that's gone. It's a big part of you that's gone. Ain't no just no little part. No, it's a big part of you gone. And a big part of that right there is who you used to be. The person that you used to be. You know what I'm saying? That person that you used to be, hey, a lot of that right there went right in the ground with your child. I ain't playing. And like I said, for some people, they'll never get that version of you back. And for you, it's a new version of you that you're not familiar with. And so it's something new. And this right here is the reason why you be quiet enough to look back and see how this right here part gonna play out on you. This you gotta let this right here, this new version of you play out. And the killing part is while you paying attention and this new version of you playing out, the people that was around you, when they start to come back around you and stuff, they still gonna have this planet version of you that left with your child. They gonna have this up here. This is gonna be solely on them though. And they gonna have this right here up here planet of you, and you ain't even nothing like that no more. You ain't nothing like that because of the stuff that you had to go through mentally. You understand? So now at this point, because you sitting back and you observing those very people that come back around you, that got that old version you planted in their head, your spirit gonna tell you exactly who they are. By the way that they speak, the way they talk, is gonna tell you exactly the way that they think. All this stuff right here. See, when you sit back and you bring in and absorb what spirit is trying to tell you instead of resisting it, you will learn a lot more. I'm telling you. And then you able to break some of these cycles that keep on happening while you're going through this grief pattern. You see what I'm saying? Because the other day ago, I was sitting at the table, man, and I'm telling you, man, look, I heard my son call me daddy through a video that I was watching, and man, it crushed me. It crushed me. As much as I talk to y'all about that, as much as I talk to y'all about that right there, I still get broken by that. Okay? That stuff that you lose your child, man, it's like you broken. That really breaks you, man. That sits you on your ass. That will sit you on your ass. Listen, I've had a lot of people that passed. I still have my parents, and you know, I've had grandparents, and I had some close. Man, listen, when I lost my child, man, that really set me on my behind, and I'm still sitting on it. I'm still sitting on it. Because the type of stuff that you have to see, you don't forget this stuff, okay? So you have to be careful about what you allow yourself to see at this moment, because what you see is going to keep on replaying and replaying and replaying and replaying. And this right here is the reason why I asked, you know, when it comes down to the funeral services and stuff like that, like when it comes down to stuff like that, is that right there something that's put in place to keep you from seeing the stuff that I'm talking about right now? From seeing the real, and to see that reality is all, you know, misconstrued. The stuff that we believe is real really ain't real. You start talking like that, you're going to sound crazy to some of these people. And it's all based upon the stuff that you learned in your spirit time, in your downtime, when your spirit was talking to you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to know that when you start talking to other people, that they just have not did the work. You're going to know by their conversation. You're going to know by their tone, their attitude, their character, the way they speak, the way they, everything. It ain't going to hold you up. And you're going to notice that with a whole bunch of people. And then before you know it, it's going to be like you on this lonely highway by yourself. Ain't nobody going to understand you. When you speaking to certain people, this is how you going to know that they not, you know, some of them haven't really done the work. It's because when you speaking from your point of view, they steady trying to push theirs. See, your point of view, because you lost your child and you go through this spiritual thing, if they haven't been down that road, or if they have been down that road and just haven't accepted it and still want to stay in La La Land, then that's another thing. They're going to be there too. But for the ones that haven't lost a child, for the ones that have lost a child, when they are talking to you, you need to be trying to listen to them, okay? Because what you saying isn't, unless you're responding to them, what you saying is not gonna, it has no bearing. It's not gonna have much bearing, so to say. I ain't gonna say it ain't gonna have no bearing. It won't have much bearing, you know, on their situation. They're trying to explain something to you and how they feel about a situation, and here you is want to come in and say that they wrong for feeling about a situation, or they ain't supposed to feel that way, and this, that, and the other. You can't tell nobody how to feel. You can't tell nobody how to feel in a moment like that right there. So when they talking to you and they expressing certain stuff to you, the best thing to do is be quiet and let them talk, let them speak. You know what I'm saying? You know, it ain't nothing wrong with having a conversation back and forth, but it should never get to a point to where they have to tell you to hold on and multiple times, and because I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. If you're talking to a person like that, more than likely what's gonna happen is they're gonna shut down. They ain't got time to be sitting up there going back and forth with you, and they got their child on their mind in that ground like that, and they trying to explain something to you, and you want to go back and forth with them. They ain't trying to hear you going back and forth with them. What's going to happen is we're going to leave that conversation alone. We're going to leave that conversation alone. As open as I am about my son's passing, as open as I am to questions, as open as I am to anything almost, you know, when it comes down to him. Like, I try to be as transparent as possible when it comes down to him, and in hopes to help other people that's in this situation, because I didn't have this right here type of, what I'm doing, I couldn't find it nowhere, so I had to start doing it myself. So that's the reason why I do this right here. So when I'm being transparent about this stuff right here, and I'm talking to certain people about it, if at any point in time me explaining this becomes any kind of bit of stressful, when I feel my nervous system, when I feel that my anxiety or something, or I feel that little shift, it's gonna be a shift that you feel in your stomach or something. I don't know where but you're gonna feel a shift somewhere when you talking to these people that's basically telling you that you are getting nowhere. That's when you shut it down. Right there. I don't care what you're talking about. Shut it down. Shut it down, because at that point, what you're doing is you giving them all your energy. They not understanding. You see what I'm saying? They still don't get it. But you get it because you got sat down. You understand it. And so the thing about it is, before you pull yourself back to their world, what you got to do is you got to shut that down while you still got your energy and your wits about yourself, because before you know it, you have been undrained yourself. Now you on their level. Y'all arguing now. Y'all arguing now. You don't do that. We not doing that. You gonna listen to what I got to tell you, you know what I'm saying, about this situation and how it's effective, you know what I'm saying, to my life and the way I move. Or if it get to the point to where I feel like we splitting hairs, hey, that don't take much, okay? It don't take much. And when you get to that point, you are then going to realize why it is that you are separated the way that you are. You are going to see that. You are going to see that because, again, like I told you, you're paying attention to spirit. Once you pay attention to your own spirit, that's going to radiate off of you on other people, and you're going to pay attention to their spirit. You ain't going to be paying attention to this little meat suit that you got on right here, okay? You're not going to just be paying attention to that. You're going to be paying attention to them. That very spirit that you paid attention to in yourself is the same spirit that you're going to pay attention to in every last person that you come in contact with. You see what I'm saying? But this right here is when you done did the work. When you done did the spirit work on yourself. See, I'm not talking about nothing religious. When I be talking about the spirit work, and I always say this right here in my videos as well, I'm not talking about nothing religious. I'm not talking about no Bible. I'm not talking about none of that stuff. I'm strictly talking about your spirit. You know what I'm saying? Once you pay attention to spirit, your spirit is what's going to break you out of these loops that keep on cycling. And when you break that loop, you're going to be the villain. When you break that cycle, you're going to be the villain because you're not going along with status quo no more. Your spirit is not going to allow you to go along with status quo no more. Okay? You lost your child. That was bold. And guess what? Everything else behind that about to be just as bold. I ain't holding back nothing else. You got nah. Ain't nothing being held back, and you gonna get it the way it is. Cause see, one thing you gonna stop doing after you lost a child too, is you gonna stop coming to people's aid. You know what I'm saying? Because you realize that, hey, that take too much energy. You're gonna realize that, wait a minute, in order for certain things to stop, you gotta let people, you can't stand in the way of people's karma. Because you're gonna realize, you're gonna see the karma in some people. You're gonna realize that a person's situation is the way it is because they played a role in it somewhere. Something happened somewhere where you played a role in that right there, and you getting your karma for whatever it is that happened. And guess what? Because it looked sad to me back in the day, I would jump in the middle of that and I would try to help, and I'm not getting nobody else. You do, hey, deal with your own karma. Deal with your own everything. And for somebody like me that don't move like that right there, it's hard to say no. It's very hard to say no. It makes you feel some type of way just to say no. You know what I'm saying? But you have to, after this right here, no gonna be a very strong word in your vocabulary. It's gonna be a very strong word in your vocabulary, probably the most powerful word in your vocabulary, because for some people, that no is going to expose them. Yeah, that no is going to expose them. You understand what I'm getting at? And that's what you're looking at. You're looking at it. And before you know it, you ain't gonna have nowhere else to go. You ain't gonna have nowhere else to go. All the people, the majority of the people that you was around, it was something that you didn't notice before, that you notice now, that just became distasteful. Distasteful. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be distasteful. Don't look for nobody. Don't look for guidance in nobody. You ain't looking for guidance in nobody. Don't look for nobody to tell you how to get through this. You ain't gonna, because you ain't gonna find it. And nobody gonna be able to tell you how to get through this right here. They gonna start spitting out scriptures and verses and stuff like that. And like I said, it ain't nothing wrong with that for those that believe that saying words like that may help somebody, but sometimes they don't. And you got to be prepared for the people that come to you that say certain things that they don't know that's more harmful than help. You know, like they don't understand this, but because you have done the spiritual work, you don't get mad at this. You don't get mad at those people because you understand that they don't understand. And they don't understand through ignorance. Not because they dumb. They not stupid. These people are not stupid. They not dumb. They are just ignorant, meaning that they really just don't know. You know, I don't think that people, normal people, will come to you and tell you that, well, you know, you only lost one child. You know, it could have been much worse. You could have lost all of them. If these people knew that lines like that right there are not heartwarming, if they really genuinely knew that, a genuine person would not tell you that. But it sounds soft to the ear to them because they want you to feel better about yourself, and they want you to think, well, maybe I could have lost more, so I better be grateful, you know, that it was, you know, it wasn't worse. And I say that, hey, that right there don't work like that. And this is the reason why I be trying to tell y'all when I'm telling y'all about stuff like that, you should be listening to me. Because some of that stuff is unintentionally insulting to somebody that have lost a child. You know what I'm saying? If somebody have lost their only child and they was in the same position together, and you tell that person, hey, be blessed, you still here. For them, that might not be a blessing. Because now you stuck living with this grief for the rest of your entire life. Do you understand me? I don't know nobody that want to live that long like that right there, Jack, and be subjected to that type of thought on their mind. This stuff right here got to live with me for the rest of my life, dude. For the rest of my life. This right here got to sit with me for the rest of my life. And you be talking about people be out here talking they want to live these long lives and all this other stuff like that. You want to live a long life after that? If you done had many of children, you want to live a long life after you done seen multiple of your children go down? I almost ain't want to live the life that I live right now after seeing just one go down. Shoot, you talking about, man, please. Please. But anyway, so, like I said, once you lock in to spirit, your spirit, when you lock into your spirit, man, and you start understanding things and you start using discernment, because that's going to be one of the big keys in this right here. When you start learning learning how to use discernment, you know what I'm saying? Your discernment is going to be very critical in this process. Yeah. It's going to be very critical in this process. In this process, it's going to be things that are going to mirror some of the stuff that you're going through, but it ain't going to be right. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be fake. It's going to be a facade. And that's going to be another thing. Spiritually, you're going to be able to see these facades very good, very fast, very close. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be able to dissect it. But your discernment going to have to kick in. So you're going to have to work on your discernment a bit. You know what I mean? That discernment going to kick in. And when that discernment kick in, you pay attention to it, because it's going to be working with your intuition and your nervous system at the same time. And mentally it's going to be up to you. Mentally, it's going to be up to you to discern, you know, what it is that's being told to you. And again, if you don't understand it, that's fine. Like I said, just pay attention to it, because there's gonna be some stuff you're gonna be on to. You're gonna be, you're gonna be sniffing on the trail. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna pick up the scent. But some of this stuff ain't gonna make no sense. And when you pay attention to what doesn't make sense, that right there is the part. Once you figure that out, that right there is going to sharpen your spiritual gift that you are now dealing with. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna take time out from other people for a minute. Deal with your spiritual gift that you dealing with, man. And there ain't gonna be nothing wrong with it. Ain't gonna be nothing wrong with it. I'm telling you, something definitely is gonna change. Definitely. Now, whether people see it in you or not, that's on them, because you're gonna have to understand at this point, it's not going to be a you problem. Okay? It's not going to be a you problem. You are working with yourself, yeah. But in the way that you are moving spiritually, paying attention, breaking certain cycles, you are, like I said, you're gonna be the villain for a minute. Yeah, you're gonna be the villain for a minute. But also the ones that haven't took the time out to do that, those are the ones that you're gonna see, right out front. It's gonna stand out. It's like going somewhere, staying away for a very long time, and then when you come back to the hood, you like, I see why I left. You know what I mean? That's the way, that's what I'm talking about, like that right there. It worked like that. But the only thing is, you left away spiritually. Spiritually, something left. And when you tried to return to whatever it was, you just seen how different it was. You seen how different everything looked. Nothing looked the same, even though everything was still in place. You know what I'm saying? The people wasn't sounding the same. You heard all the connivingness in people. You heard all the low tones. You know what I'm saying? You heard all the undertones. You know what I mean? Like, all that stuff started to mean stuff. All that stuff started to run with each other after so long of going with this stuff right here when you dealing with people. You know what I'm saying? You just, and then I'm going to tell you something else. When you fall back, that's when you see who really deal with you. That's when you see who really mess with you. You're going to see that a lot of people is going to fall off. You ain't going to throw these people off. They going to fall off on their own. People going to fall off on their own. And hey, for you, it is what it is. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Because like I said, after losing your child, somebody that close to you like that, everything else is second to none, man. You don't care nothing about none of that other stuff, man. Say what you want to say. Do what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? One thing that you are going to do is you're going to be more highly protective of your energy, though. You're going to be more highly protective of that. You're going to start watching where your energy go and who get it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be more privy to that. Yeah. You ain't about to be playing around like that when it comes down to your energy, because once your energy gets so low, you are susceptible to everything. You know what I'm saying? You don't want your energy to get that low. You don't want your energy to get low. That's another thing too, man. You do not want your energy to get low, because it's that part right there is difficult to bring back up. And when your energy is low, then because you dealing with the spirit, remember I told y'all, it ain't always good spirits. You're going to be dealing with some bad ones too. That right there unlocks the door for that right there to come in when you in a low vibrational stage, when you in a low vibrational area in your nervous system, in your intuition, in the way that you think, your thought pattern. You know what I'm saying? It opens up the door to negative things, negative energy, negative spirits. You see what I'm saying? That come in, and it'll make sure that whatever you feeling stays that way. So, like, you don't want to be in that. You don't want to stay stuck in that. Because then, if you stay stuck in that, what tend to happen is your health gonna start to take a hit. Your health is gonna start to take a hit. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want that to happen. And here go the thing. When your health start to take a hit, because ain't nobody tell me this right here, but when your health start to take a hit, you ain't gonna notice that. You're not gonna notice that your health took a hit. You're not gonna feel it. You're not gonna feel that. You're not gonna physically feel that. Your mind ain't gonna be there. And so while your health taking a hit and your mind ain't there, you not feeling it and everything, you steady losing weight and all this other stuff, man. It ain't, I'm telling you, it ain't no good. It ain't nothing to play with. It's stress. And you don't even know that it's happening. That's the dangerous part of it. Because by the time you realize what's happening, your health might be too far gone. For me, I think I caught mine about in time just by looking at my weight, because I had dropped from over 200 pounds to 163 pounds. I dropped from over 200 pounds, just over 200 pounds, to 163 pounds at the lowest that I got throughout this whole ordeal, before I realized that my health was taking a hit somewhere. You see? And so you probably more than likely want to pay attention to that right there, man, because this stuff is so stressful. It can get so stressful for you, and you just won't know. That's why they say stress is a silent killer. You know what I'm saying? And I see why they say that, because I didn't feel none of this stuff, bro. I wasn't thinking about that. It wasn't until I started to pay attention to self, when I really started to pay attention to spirit and what it was trying to tell me, and just kind of fall back and just let stuff play out. You know what I mean? Well, and so when, like I said, in doing that right there, you find out a lot, y'all. You do. You say I'm stuck in an isolation part. Well, it depends on where you at, if it's good or bad. The isolation part, that's for real, is definitely depend on. For me, it was based upon the length of time that I went into isolation after the passing of Junior, after Junior passed. For me, I went into isolation like almost immediately. Now, everybody else probably didn't understand that or pay attention to it, but I went into isolation almost immediately. You know what I mean? Now, staying in isolation, like I said, is not necessarily a bad thing. It depends on where your spirit at. You know what I'm saying? Because believe you me, your spirit gonna tell you when to come up out of isolation. It's gonna tell you. It's gonna tell you. It's gonna be your resistance, your mental resistance against it, that's gonna keep you isolated in a I would say in a bad way. That's pretty much what that's gonna be. It's gonna be you fighting more against yourself mentally. You know what I'm saying? I just started to trust my spirit, man. That's just what it was, just the bottom to it. I just started to trust my spirit, because certain stuff beforehand, not that I didn't trust my spirit, but certain stuff I just it didn't go well. It didn't sound right, and I just used my mind and went the other way. And then sometimes it just didn't work out for me when I did that. And then that's when you come back to that point where you say, man, I should have followed my first mind. I should have followed my first mind. What was that first mind? Your first thought. And that first thought wasn't wrong. It just didn't sit well with you. It just didn't sit well with you. That's all it was. So that's what I have for this rising, you guys. I am at my first gig. I just pulled up to my first gig. And I'm going to have to get up off this thing. I'm going to read this. Grand Rising, Angelique. I am about to... started my first gig. Said I'd rather be at a park alone versus around people. It used to be the total opposite. And I understand that. I get it. I get it. Trust me. I get that. I get that. Yeah, I'd rather be at a park alone. You know, for us up here in the city, in Detroit, we can go. We got plenty of water we can go by. I'd rather be there. Absolutely. I'd rather be there than around, you know, people. You know what I'm saying? And then you can get a lot more off your mind. You can. But still don't forget that you still living either. You still down here too. You got to make a soft spot somewhere. You know what I mean? But learn what you need to learn. And there ain't no time limit on that. For real. There ain't no it ain't no time limit on that. It really ain't. I see it ain't no time limit on it. I see that. There's no time limit on how long that right there take. It's all about what you see up here spiritually. These eyes right here are secondary. These eyes up here is the ones that you got to pay attention to, because you're going to see a lot further with those eyes. And here go the thing. Before I leave, y'all, here go the thing. When you start seeing with these eyes up here, the training that it takes to really convince yourself to believe these eyes up here is going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm still doing that right now. It's like learning something, and you got to, once you get used to it, man, grief is going to lighten up. It's going to lighten up. It's going to more and more lighten up. That's not to say that you still won't have moments, because you will. I just had one the other day ago. Not even 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to stop, you know, that little loss of emptiness that you get when you thought about your child, and then that loss of emptiness just hit your chest. It's not going to stop that either. You know what I'm saying? But it will regulate it. And that's what we're going for, because we understand spiritually, we understand that you're not going to be able to stop that. We get that. We understand that. We understand that. But we can regulate it. Okay? So with that right there being said, I'm going to go ahead and get lost. I got to start this job right here where I'm at right now. Y'all can go back and look at this video, man. If it was helpful to you, like I said, share the video, man. Help somebody else out. Share the video. Like it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hey Uncle Ronnie, and my TikTok channel, Ronnie84_. And yeah, go back and look at this video, man. If y'all think it helped, you know, hey, like I said, share, man. Help me get this right here through the algorithm. And like I said, for me, this right here is my therapy. This is my therapy. I didn't go to grief counseling. I didn't refer to religious, to the religious community. I just referred back to this. I ain't referred back to nothing else. All this stuff that I've been telling y'all over this past year and a half, just over a year and a half. All this stuff that y'all been hearing me say on my lives have been totally coming from up here. It been totally coming from up here, okay? This ain't no stuff that I'm reading and regurgitating to you. This stuff is coming straight off the top. And this right here is why people told me to go read the book of Job. Because the stuff that I was saying, it ran synonymous almost with Job. And I didn't even know that. See, I had never even read the book of Job. I wasn't no Bible thumping person. You know what I'm saying? I know very little about the Bible when it comes down to me actually reading it. You know what I'm saying? So I had never read or heard the book of Job until maybe the other day ago. And I heard the similarities in what I was saying versus what he was going through at the time. So I understood why people was like, yeah, you need to read the book of Job. And I did that. And I understood why they said that. You know what I mean? I did understood why they said that. You know what I mean? But again, it just goes to show you, like I said, pay attention up here and it's going to